office has. We're going to talk a little bit about our Financial Aid Leadership Academy, a couple of our grant programs, the Child Care Grant and Targeted Assistance and Less Than Half-Time Grant programs. We're also going to incorporate today into our meeting our required training for the Golden Leaf Community College Scholarship Program. And then we also at the end and throughout, we want you all to certainly ask your questions and help us out with any comments that you may have during our presentation. Again, thank you for taking time out of your day today to make this meeting possible. Gonna jump right in with and if you don't mind, please mute yourselves as you are coming into the meeting. Look, we switched around a little bit on our agenda, but just want to jump right in and talk about gainful employment. But before I speak on that, just a reminder to everyone, and there's not a slide for this, that you remember your IPEDS report that's due pretty soon, I think either today or by Friday. If you are having any challenges with it, we do ask that you will reach out to the appropriate teams. If you're having issues with colleague, we certainly want you to put a request into ServiceNow. If you're needing additional time for reporting, I believe in the announcement that I sent to you, that you were given an opportunity to reach out to other individuals. So just want you to be reminded of the IPEDS report that is due, and just take advantage of any opportunities that you have there for questions and any concerns that you may have. This has been a very hot topic since October of 2023, financial value, transparency, and gainful employment. However, I do want to first and foremost thank you all for your submissions by the 15th of January. That date we knew was not to be extended, but however, it has been extended to give institutions additional time to look over your report, look at what you've reported, and also to make any corrections that you were not able to make and submit by January 15th of 2025. We ask that you not wait until the last minute. If you're having any, again, any colleague issues, we ask that you submit a ServiceNow request if you're needing assistance with that. There was also an electronic announcement. It is titled GE 25-01. Kindly mute your phone if you're just entering into the meeting. We're hearing a little bit of background noise. But this electronic announcement, I believe it was sent, our president, President Cox, actually sent it out to the college presidents as well as other senior leadership team members. And you all, as financial aid administrators, received this same announcement that just lets you know that this reporting is being extended. You have until February 18th to go in and make any corrections that you would need to. Just look over your report to make sure that there are not any that there's not anything that you wanted to fix and couldn't during that time. You've got this additional window of time to do that. And just look through that electronic announcement, because there are the department did provide some common errors, and these errors in the electronic announcement are actually broken down by record level. Some of those common errors included the OPEID number, the zip code may have been expired, an old zip code, the program length, and program submission levels. So just look at some of that information and just make those corrections as you need to. Now, for some colleges, you did not feel that you needed to report. There's an opportunity there, explanations of non-reporting. That simply states that colleges must provide an explanation that is satisfactory to the department. If your college did not submit an explanation by that January 15th deadline, and you feel like this is an opportunity for you to do so, it is not, because the department has said that if you did not submit an explanation that was satisfactory to according to them, you do not have an opportunity to go in and do it now. So again, make sure that you're taking advantage of that extended deadline, February 18th, because the department has said that they have submitted information to that next level for processing. So just want to remind you of that. Um, and also our strategic enrollment plan, the Community College System Office has a strategic enrollment plan that started a couple years ago. So we're in the second phase of it. It actually goes through 2026. That is a 4-year goal-driven strategic plan that simply guides the decisions and actions of the board, of our state board. And our state board is in support of all 58 community colleges. Again, I state that we are in the second phase of this plan, and our role at the system office is to provide any support, any and all support to our community colleges, from building awareness of our colleges. That means putting you all out there, branding you, and implementing those actionable strategies that will enhance our overall enrollment outcomes. And enrollment growth is what we want across all 58 colleges. So our role in this and our goal is to increase financial aid efficiency and timely implementation, and improving the overall financial aid process for students. How are we going to do this? We need to become or join in the game of being a competitor, or at least aligning ourselves with our 4-year and our independent schools. And our task as the area of financial aid is to figure out a way to get those award notices out to students sooner. That has been the game plan for our 4-year schools and independents for a very long time. And we are now in a position that we need to align ourselves with that. It sounds like a very small task, or maybe not, but we are definitely on our way to making this happen. Um, and in doing this, I'm going to be soliciting your help, and I need your honest feedback on how we can make this all happen, how we can make our 58 community colleges stronger and pretty much online or in line with our independence and our 4-year universities. So in order to make this happen, my task, along with Andrea Simpson, is we've been tasked with sending out a survey. So in doing so, we have selected a group of colleges. It's going to be probably about 20 colleges. And we ask that you be on the lookout towards the end of this month, or by the end of this month, for a survey. That survey, we're asking for your honest opinion on how we can better serve you all. And I say we, that meaning system office, from our area through the board and all that work at the system office, how we can help you all in making this happen. Now, I think I just saw a question in the chat about 25-26 processing. And I believe that Andrea has actually sent out a notice regarding the 25-26 template, or some of the patches that are needed for that.
Yes, thank you, Brenda. I am actually in the process of trying to iron out my dates for the setup training. Um, as of right now, I'm shooting for February and March. I know February is sneaking up on us quickly, so we're trying to get that documentation completed. Um, and I'm getting those classes scheduled. So just be on the lookout. My goal is within the next week, y'all should be able to sign up for those.
Okay. Thank you so much, Andrea.
You're welcome.
Appreciate you being on the call and adding that information. Okay, so moving along, our Financial Aid Leadership Academy, that is back on, it's back on the table. I've had so many people that have asked about it. It has certainly been beneficial from the time that it started. And I think our first year for this was around 2017, 2017 and 18. And from that time, I will honestly tell you that we have had members that have gone on to be financial aid directors at their institutions that have moved up in the profession. And we like to brag about the last session that we had. We actually extended it and had members from colleges that were VPs, that worked in business offices, and they were most appreciative of the Financial Aid Leadership Academy. So again, look forward to an announcement that will be coming out soon about that. And just in the chat, or in the presentation today, I've listed some of the past sessions that we have had, and just we'll probably be changing some of the names and adding some of the additional responsibilities, and certainly updating many of the sessions that we've presented in the past, because as you know, financial aid has certainly changed a whole lot. I saw the other day that Lisa Kortoff said that she had completed about 37 years in financial aid, and I'm sure that she is a testament that financial aid has certainly taken not a 180, but a 360 in the last year of her 37, 38 years. And do want to send a shout out to you, Lisa, for all of your years in the profession and for all that you do for all of us at our colleges and at the system office. And I'm sure many of you have as many years as Lisa has, and want to thank you all for all that you do for the colleges and for our system. But again, just going to put some information out there pretty soon about the Leadership Academy. And also just want to ask that if you are interested in teaching any of our leadership courses, please send me an email. How let me know how you would like to contribute, or if you would like to just be a part of it, to be a participant in the Leadership Academy. Certainly reach out to me, and we will see how we can get this moving. Okay, now moving on to some of our grant programs. Just want to spend a little bit of time this morning talking about the North Carolina Child Care Grant Program. In 23-24, out of our $3,038,215 that was allocated to all 58 community colleges, we expended a little more than $2,350,933. That went to about 742 students. We returned about $692,272 to be exact. That monies went back to the state. So out of our 58 colleges, 17 of you all spent all of your allocations. So we returned about anywhere from $88 to a little more than $40,000 in child care grant. Our board has been looking at our child care grant expenditures for the past few years, and you all have probably seen some announcements or articles that have gone out on Ed&C about the Child Care Grant Program and our North Carolina community colleges. And their questions remain, why aren't we spending this money when we know that students need it? There's a need for child care grant. So just want to let you know that we are at the system office, we are looking at ways in which we can improve the program, but we can't do that without your help. And I know that we have sent out emails before. I have just soliciting opinions from some of our colleges that normally spend all of their money just to see what the issues are. I know that we've been, you know, juggling and piloting with trying to use it for CE students. But, again, there are other restrictions as well that kind of prohibit us from doing what we want to do with the child care grant. So be on the lookout again for a survey that myself and my associate vice president are coming up with. We're going to be tapping some of our colleges to see how we can better spend these funds. Now, I do want to point out that I was contacted by an institution that wanted to see how they could use those monies for students that were doing like a drop-in, and I'm going to use this term loosely, like drop-in childcare for the students who are attending school. And I don't have a problem with that. They were actually in the process of doing a contract with their a local agency that was actually going to help them participate in this. I don't want to call the school's name, but I thought that it was a great idea. So between now and June 30, do want you to look at ways that you can expend those funds, because I don't want to stand before the board this year and tell them that we're sending back more monies when we realize that there are students who can really use it. Now, I know a hindrance for us has been, and probably will continue to be, is the timing, in which we get the funding. We certainly don't have any control over when a budget is approved. However, just encourage you all we know we're going to get the money at some point. So just think of ways and be proactive in how you can take those applications and go ahead and get students lined up for the grant. We're also going to explore ways in which we can, if the student has had to pay those expenditures out of pocket while they're waiting to be approved, we're looking at ways in which we can reimburse the student. So stay tuned for that. More information on that. Just want to point that out to you. And as well, with our targeted assistance and less than half-time grant program, we receive an allocation of about $550,000 each year that we send out to our colleges. We're getting better with that. Out of that $550,000, our colleges actually expended $523,791. That's better than it has been in the past. I do want to point out to you that those funds were late going out again, but you still have time to award that money to students who are enrolled in those high demand, low enrollment programs. So just look at your pot of money that you have. It's a small amount of money, but it can you can certainly stretch it and award it to students who meet your institution's criteria. And I also want to share with you that back in 2009, I believe it was, the restrictions were lifted. I believe we used to have to give a certain amount to those students who were in the less than half-time programs. However, that has been removed, so you can use all of your monies for targeted assistance, or you can use all of your monies for less than half-time enrolled students. So keep that in mind. We want you all to, although the funds were not sent out to the colleges until November 24th or 25th, We want you to know that they have to be expended by June 30th, 2025. So use all of the money that you can in your spring and your summer terms. Just make sure that you expend the funds by June 30 of 2025. And also, along with Child Care Grant, any suggestions that you have on how we can improve this program, please send your suggestions to me. And I'm happy to move them forward to see how we can best utilize all of our funding. Personally, I don't want to see any monies go back to any of our programs that we know that our students attending our community colleges can use. That is all I have. Before I pass it on to Dr. White for our Golden Leaf Scholarship Training program section, I just want to point out to you all that this is required training. We've been instructed by the Golden Leaf Foundation that we must provide this type training to our institutions at least each semester, at the beginning of each semester. So we have actually chosen the fall and the spring. We can do a short one-on-one or small group training session at the beginning of the summer term, but we know how quickly that term goes. So I'm going to pass it on to Dr. White for this part of the meeting. Dr. White, are you ready?
I am. I
Okay,
am.
and just let me
And
know
if you would just move the
when to move your
slides,
slides. Okay,
I am ready. I am
all right.
ready. First, let me say good morning to everyone. I hope everyone is warm and safe. And I will tell you that we really appreciate you being here today. I don't know how many of you are at home or on campus or if everybody is at home, but we thank you for taking the time out of the schedule to participate in the training this morning, training and updates. And I will say more updates. Our first slide is really an overview of the topics that we're going to cover this morning. One of the things that's most important to Golden Leaf is the monitoring of the expenditures. So that is one thing that we'll talk about this morning. And we use the dashboard a lot to do that monitoring. Also, we're going to talk about the Golden Leaf funds dispersed by colleges as of January 2025. So we'll talk a little bit about how much money we've already awarded out. When I say we've already awarded out, I mean the colleges, the amounts that you've awarded to students. And then we'll start with our disbursement date of January and where we expect to go with that. In terms of Golden Leaf best practices, there are some that we outlined last fall. We're going to talk about those as well. We understand that there are turnovers within the financial aid community or within the colleges where people that may have managed the Golden Leaf program are no longer doing it, and there are other people that are taking their place. So it's important for us to go over some requirements that you may already be familiar with. So we'll talk briefly about those as well. And then we'll talk about the calendar and monthly submission dates. This is very important simply because we want you to get your reports in on time so that we can process them as you award the students and disperse that money to the students. And then, of course, password protection. There's some of these items that are listed. I would say the colleges have improved in these areas probably about 95%. There are a few people that are or maybe not including or forgetting to include passwords, but in most cases that is happening. And we're also going to talk about the Golden Leaf interim report dates and the dates that we're encouraging you to complete your report so that we can have all of your expenditures in prior to June 30th. We really want you to have it in by May, even though by May 30th. Even though the deadline is June 30th, we found that sometimes when colleges submit them as late as June 30th, that sometimes there are students that are left off or corrections that need to be made. So we just want to encourage colleges to ensure that those reports get in early and we can assist you with any difficulties that you might have. So we're going to move on to the next slide. So the next slide, okay. So let's talk about Golden Leaf expenditures as of January 2025. And I'll tell you how excited we are. Brenda and I, or we looked at them and we were like really excited because we could see that colleges are tending to award more Golden Leaf money than they have in the past. Our allocation for expenditures to the colleges it's for this year is $2,035,000. Most of you know that that number has gone up over the years because Golden Leaf values the fact that there are lots of students within the community college system that can utilize these funds. So each year, as we award more money to students, then the allocation is being increased. The number of scholarships that we have awarded as of January 2025, and this includes September, October, November, and December, is $951,878. Now, in terms of where we are now, we are in the process of processing the January 25 monthly disbursements. So of course that number will go up and we're anticipating that it'll go up to over $1 million. The scholarship awards that are left include spring and summer. And I will tell you that even though you're able to award summer, you can actually award them as early as May to students and then disperse them in June. But we're looking at about $1,148,122 that we have left to disperse in Golden Leaf. So we want all of you to be aware of that. And I've started looking at some of the awards that are the award reimbursements requests for January, and I can see those numbers are definitely going to be going up. So we're real excited about that for you. Next slide. Okay, so one of the things that I want to make sure that the colleges are doing is looking at the Golden Leaf dashboard. This is where we do a lot of the monitoring, and I think it'll be very beneficial to the colleges as well. As you do your monthly reports and as the expenditures are reimbursed to your college, you can actually look at the dashboard and see if those updates are made. What you will do is, and Brenda, I don't know if we want to click on that right now to show them if it'll work. If it doesn't work, then they'll be able to go to the Golden Leaf dashboard and look for it, or either they can call me and then I will walk them through the process. The thing that I would remind each of you when you go to the dashboard, because we still have data up for 23-24 year, then make sure that you click on the 24-25 year in progress. And once you do that, you can click on expenditures, you can click on awards by college, and you can click on your year-to-date expenditures, and all of that information will come up and you will be able to compare those numbers with what you send in to the system office as it relates to your awards, monthly awards. We want to make sure that colleges are not awarding Golden Leaf COVID. We understand that that Golden Leaf COVID is still on the dashboard, but we encourage you to really pay attention to that whenever you're doing your reports to make sure that you don't code any students there. We are not able to remove it. We're not able to remove it because the dashboard was set up that way. That was an area of which students could receive those funds several years ago. So, but as of right now and last year and the year before last year, we would say, please do not award any students in that area, because what we'll have to do is to have you to make those changes. Now, their funding is no longer available. Again, CEGLF, that's COVID 105 and CU 104. And we've only had a few colleges that have done that, and it is always done in error. Um, we're asking, we will notify all colleges by March 1st, 2025, if your GL awards that you've made and the reimbursements, if your GL awards, your Golden Leaf Awards, and your reimbursements do not match. This is very important because we don't want to get to June or May and realize that we've reimbursed you more money than you have actually awarded out. So we want to make sure that we're doing that. And so we're encouraging colleges to look at that as well. And we also want you to make sure that whoever is processing the Golden Leaf scholarships is to ensure that the eligible counties are verified. There are situations where we understand that there are some corrections that are made. So if there are corrections made and the student is eligible, then we want to make sure that those corrections are made in colleague as well. Because what will happen is they will pop up again when we are preparing to send that interim report into the Golden Leaf Foundation. And we're trying to catch those. So those of you who've experienced that problem, we usually will try to reach out to you once we identify that there's an ineligible county. We don't have a lot of those, so we appreciate you all for making those corrections as soon as we contact you. Again, as I indicated, we are encouraging colleges to go ahead and award those funds by May 30th, 2025, if you can do that. Next slide. Okay, so there are some Golden Leaf Award report submissions, requirements, and reminders that I do want to go over. One of the things that I've noticed is most of the colleges will send the awards into us by the required date, and we'll go over those dates shortly. Um, but I want to make sure that you pay attention to those. Some of the reports do come in after the date that we asked you to submit them. And if I have the time, I will go ahead and process them for you. But our goal is to make sure that we get your reports, your reimbursement requests into our business office so they can get the funds turned around back to your college as soon as possible. I do encourage you to make sure that you check those dates that we indicate that funds are reimbursed to your college. At least check with your business office a couple of days after that to make sure that those funds have come in to your college, and to also just verify that the amount is the same amount that you sent to us. Um, every now and then there may be some change, whether it's with our business office or an oversight on our end, but we want to make sure that we know that there is a change, or that your college did not get what the amount that they were supposed to get. We want to make sure we know that as soon as possible so we can provide the necessary updates to our business office. Also, Golden Leaf Awards cannot be transferred from one college to another. This is very, very important. Um, we had one situation where uh, we believe that, or we were notified by the college that funds were transferred to another college. And that is not possible. So please do not do that. Reach out to Brenda or myself and ask questions, but that cannot take place. And usually when that happens, it really is a hard situation to clear up, and it takes a lot of time on the college's part. And award corrections made for COVID and CE awards must be corrected. And I will say that they must be corrected as soon as possible. Because what happens is if it gets to the time that we're trying to close out at the end of June, then it may impact your ability, the college's ability to get reimbursed in a timely manner. So we're going to move on to the next slide. Brenda, you want to move on to the next slide?
I thought it is, isn't it on slide
Yes.
12, administration best practices?
Mhm.
Okay.
Yes. Okay, so we talked about best practices, and I will tell you that based on what I am seeing now, colleges are doing a great job. But again, we want you to monitor. It's almost like reconciliation when you're reconciling Pell uh, with what you're paying students, what they're receiving. It's reconciling your records, ensuring that you review the Golden Leaf dashboard at least monthly to compare what you awarded, what you awarded to students, the award totals, and the expenditure amounts. We also want you to correct your errors found in award totals or Golden Leaf reporting as soon as possible. If we find out that there is is there error or something that needs to be corrected, we will notify you as soon as possible so we can all be on one accord and have a smooth process. So we're asking that you review your interim reports to confirm that the award totals match the Golden Leaf monthly disbursement amounts. So, for example, we have requested the interim reports for fall 24. Those reports were due in on January the 17th. If you awarded Golden Leaf money September, October, November, or December, the total awards that you awarded during that period should be on your fall interim report. So we ask that you check your fall interim report and compare those totals because at the end of January or after January 31st or by January 31st, we have to submit an interim report into the Golden Leaf Foundation. So we're not just asking for the report just so that we have it. We're required to provide that information to the Golden Leaf Foundation. And of course, they disperse money to the system office on a quarterly basis to ensure that we can get that money to your colleges to be reimbursed. If you have any questions, please reach out to me. You can email me. You can email Brenda as well. You can email both of us, and we will get back in touch with you. But we do appreciate everything that you're doing now. And I will tell you, I can tell that that you all are doing a really good job. So we're going to move on to the next slide. Okay. So this is a reminder as well. This is very important. The total amount, we want everyone to be familiar with your allocation for this year. If you're not sure what it is, we will send the allocation information back to you. So curriculum students can receive up to $2,250 annually. That means they can receive $1,125 per semester. Fall semester, spring semester. The awards cannot exceed $1,125 per semester. And we've only had a few that have been a little different, but we just want to make sure because sometimes we might miss it and then we pick it up at the end. So to just make things smoother, to ensure that we're not doing that as you are making your awards. If you ensure that they are curriculum students, then do not award them more than 1125 per semester. They can get 2250 annually. Now, with continuing education students, students may receive up to $1,850 annually, and they should be awarded according to a curriculum semester as set up in COLLEAGUE. For example, if a CE student enrolls in a course starting in October and ends in February, a scholarship award can be split to include $925 for the fall and $925 for the spring. However, a semester award cannot be $1,850 by itself. It can be $925 fall, $925 spring. And full-time enrollment is not required, and awards may be adjusted for at least half-time enrollment. So if you got somebody enrolled half-time, then you can award them one half of that $925. So Brenda, if we can move the slide on. Okay. So I want to make sure that everyone has a copy of the Golden Leaf Scholarship Program Calendar monthly submission report. This is very important. We are now on January 2025, the month of January. That report is due January 31st, 2025. I am processing now, so it is okay if you have a report in that you've awarded students for January and you want reimbursement for those students. We ask that you send in one report, but if you've already completed that requirement, you can send in your report now. It is due by January 31st. That is the date that we are expecting it. And on February the 7th, I have a few days for processing. So from the 31st to February 7th, I will continue my processing. February the 7th is the day that I send the report in to our business office. And once the business office has that information, they will begin processing, and their plan is to have your awards, your reimbursement requests to your college by February the 13th, and then so forth and so on. So with February, your monthly report is due on the 28th, and our business office will submit the funding to your school by March 13th, 2025. So those dates are highlighted on the report. I would suggest all of you, if you would just keep this document, the documents that we send to you in the training sessions that we provide. If you'll keep those documents, you can refer back to it. If for some reason you don't have it, then we will certainly make sure that we send it to you. Now, in terms of the presentation, will it be sent out? Yes, it will be sent out to you, so everyone will have it. And if you have any questions after you get it, please feel free to contact us. Okay, so Brenda, we can move on to the next slide. Okay, required signatures. This is an area that we have to go over each time, but I will tell you, this is an area, as I said before, I would say it has improved so much. I would say maybe one or two schools may have forgotten, but as soon as we send out a reminder, we get that information. But the certifications are very important to have certification by the financial aid administrator on the monthly reports and the business administrator, because that way you both know what you're expecting to get reimbursements on. And this is a way that we can kind of document on our end as well. So this is an area, as I said, that has improved, and we thank you so much for the work that you are doing. required signatures. So we're going to move to the next slide. The one thing that I will tell you is that with the interim reports, um, the director or the scholarship person that's completing the interim reports, their name is required, but we haven't required the business office. But it is okay if you include the business office. I noticed that in some of the interim reports that we're getting, that we got for fall, that we did get some signatures as well, and that is okay. The fall interim report was due on January the 17th. And so if your report has not been sent in, then you are past due. It doesn't mean that you get to skip sending in the report. It means that you need to get it in right away. We need to have that report by Thursday of this week because we're getting closer to the end of the reporting date, which we have to report to the Golden Leaf Foundation. If you awarded students September, October, and I'm saying September, October, November, December, because those are the reporting dates. So you may have awarded some earlier than that, but they would be included on the September report. But if you did, those you need to submit an interim report for fall. Your spring support is for the period of January the 1st, 2025 through May 15th, 2025. So we have about four to five, well, let's see, 4 or 5 reports that are due. So we've got January, February, March, April, and May. So we have 5. And then, of course, we do allow individuals to turn in reports in June. But we encourage you, if you can, is to get them in earlier. I think it'll benefit all of you. Your students will get their money earlier. Your colleges will get the money as well. But the spring award interim report is due May 16th, 2025, and we will send out a reminder. What I would like for you to do, and I know some of you are really good about this, once you've awarded everything, you will send your spring report in. It could be April, and you'll send it to me. Please hold on to your spring report. You can put it in a file. It may already be in the document that you send with your monthly report. That is fine, but we want to make sure that when we send out that notice that we get them, we get your spring report. Even if you're sending in that document, and again, it needs to be titled Spring Interim Report. It makes it easy, especially if they're coming into my mailbox or the financial aid link that we send to you, that we have, and I'm the one that's most of the time reviewing them in the beginning. So that's why I refer that they come in around the date that we ask them to come in. Even though you may have completed it already, we ask that you send in your spring report by the date that it's requested. And then, of course, the final cumulative report. This is the report of any adjustments, any awards, made from 7/1/25 to June 30th. That's what that report should include. It should include all of that information. And then the due date is September the 30th, 2025. So you got plenty of time for that. Those of you that we're in the spring term now. So as I indicated, if you are sending in reports from January through the 15th, those reports should be in your spring interim. And we're going to move on to the next slide, Brenda. Okay. So we're basically at the end. We provide our contact information to you so that you can reach out to us. In this contact list, it includes Brenda's contact, my contact, and also our business office contacts. We have two individuals, the accountant, Megan Blaylock, that works with the Golden Leaf Foundation, as well as Juanita Bledsoe, who is our Director of Agency Finance and Budget. These are the individuals that we work closely with. If there's a question about a submission or anything like that, then we will contact them, and they work very closely with us. And this is a very good and positive relationship. We all been working together to make sure that we streamline the process for getting the awards to the students, as well as getting those funds reimbursed to the college. So I'm going to pause here. I've been watching the questions just to see if you have any. And I would say if you don't, please ensure that you reach out to us, because we want to make sure that we get this Golden Leaf process down so it is seamless. And not only do we benefit with within the system office, but that you benefit as well, because if we can get more money out to the colleges by doing a fantastic job with what we're allocated now, then we definitely would love to see colleges receive more Golden Leaf funding in the future.
Thank you, Dr. White, for this required training. I really appreciate all. Just want to point out, though, Dr. White has given you the contacts for the Golden Leaf Scholarship Program. And I just want to add to that is that the Golden Leaf Foundation has asked that you all reach out to myself and Dr. White before you reach out to them. We are shortly in the next couple months, we will be submitting our application to the Golden Leaf Foundation for 25-26. We have to apply each year for funding. They actually choose the priority counties. I received a phone call from one of our institutions that was a little bit concerned that they may not be considered a priority county going forward due to some tier reallocation, zoning, that type thing. But Golden Leaf has assured us that the counties that they have determined to be eligible, those counties are going to be it's effective for 5 years. And I feel like the priority county listing will be as well. But if there are any questions that you all have about the program, about the application, if you think we should be asking for more money, now we are pushing that they will allow all 100 North Carolina counties to be eligible. Dr. White and I pushed that for the past 4 years or more that I've been at the system office. So we're working on that. But just want to, I can't say it enough, please contact myself and Dr. White before you reach out to the Golden Leaf Foundation. And lastly, Dr. White is part-time. So if you don't get a response back from her within, I'm going to say 24 hours, she mainly works on Monday through Wednesday. So if you've got a question or concern on a Thursday or Friday, certainly send that to me first and copy her as well. And before you even reach out to our business and finance team, please reach out to Dr. White and myself first. Now, there is a question in the chat for Andrea, and I'm going to read it. And Andrea, I believe, will probably want to unmute herself to answer this. She doesn't want an answer that's according to Brenda. But the question for Andrea is, are we waiting for another FVT GE patch? I can't remember.
My favorite topic. Lee and I have had many griping sessions about our disdain for all things gainful employment. There is another patch that is not slated to come out until it's being released from Ellucian in March. So, my assumption, this is just Andrea talking, is that it is for future reporting, because obviously this is after all of you know, even your next deadline in February. So it's just to correct some product defects, improve some calculations, some things like that. So I'm assuming it's for a future purpose. So unless something changes with what they have out there now, it looks like for right now, we are finally finished with gainful employment patches, at least until this, and y'all won't get it until probably by the time it goes through the release process, because there is no criticality with this one. It'll probably be the April timeframe. So yeah, that's where we are now with that. You're very welcome.
Thank you, Andrea. Another reminder, this session is being recorded, and the recording and the presentation, the PowerPoint, will be sent to you all very soon. If there's nothing else for the good of the group, it looks like we've got about 4 minutes left, but I do want to take a moment to just let our western part of the state know that you all are certainly in our continued prayers, and we offer any support that we can for you all. Our hearts continue to go out to you. Thank you all so much for all that you do. And I believe that our Lisa Kortoff wants to mention something. So yes, I am going to mute myself. And Lisa, toss the mic over to you.
Hi. Hey guys, happy Wednesday. I just wanted to mention a couple things because I've had people ask me about this, so I thought maybe it would be helpful for other people to hear it too. One is about post-screening. For those of you who are fairly new to the profession, you may not be aware, but in previous years, our ICERs would be post-screened by NSLDS when a student would go into default, or if they would owe an overpayment, or suddenly had started exceeding their loan limits, which makes them ineligible for any financial aid. That's not happening this year, and they're now saying it won't happen now for maybe until March or so, if I recall from the announcement. So that does mean that it's kind of on you as a school to figure out a way to identify these students whose status has now changed and makes them ineligible for financial aid. So if you are, what we're doing at GTCC is we're requesting a financial aid history on a weekly basis. This is part of that same process when you're doing transfer monitoring. So basically we're doing that transfer monitoring process like every week. And we're getting a financial aid history file that loads into Colleague, and then when you can run a report from it to identify students who are newly going into default or overpayment or now have exceeded their loan limits. If you're not currently doing this, you may be missing students. I know, like in the fall, since students entered repayment for the first time about a year ago, we had a big batch of about 60 students who went into default after our first aid disbursement went out for the fall. So that meant we had to cancel the rest of their aid for the year until they resolved that. And we had to notify them and put that information out there on their CRI screen manually. So if you're not doing that, please take a look at that process and see what you need to do. Another thing the Department of Education is not doing is notifying you if they are now choosing the student for a V4 verification. So it's on you to look for a file that they are sending us like every 2 weeks on a Thursday. If they are newly selecting students for V4 identity verification. So you'll want to go to your FAIM screen and look under unidentified files for an AHSI file. That file you can just download and you can import it into an Excel or just look at it in Notepad, and it will identify students that you need to now go and go through identity verification processing with them if you haven't already done so for them. It will continue to show the same list of students throughout the year, but you have to watch it because they will just suddenly pop some new students on there. So if you're not looking for that AHSI file on FAIM, please make that part of your Thursday duties or something. I put it on my calendar to look at every Thursday. That seems to be when it shows up. So again, that was just a couple things I wanted to mention. Oh, and you know what? Nancy makes a good point about corrections, batch corrections. Yes, although the department's going to support batch corrections for 24-25 beginning in March, Colleague is not. So you will continue for the rest of the 24-25 year to just make corrections directly on the portal and not through Colleague. However, beginning in March, you should be able to start making corrections for 25, 26. Thanks, guys.
Wow. Thank you, Lisa, and thank you for always being there, being available, and having the most up-to-date information. And also, I want to send a shout out as well to our review team members. It looks like Lee Bray and Nancy Beasley have contributed to Lisa's comments regarding post-screening as well as V4 verification. What would we do without our team? Again, thank you all. Thank you, thank you, thank you for all that you do across the 58. We are the absolute best, and it's because of people like you. So we are at 11:01. If there are no additional questions or comments, we will go ahead and end this meeting. I'm going to give 5 seconds. Thank you all. Have a great rest of your day. Stay warm and continue to do great things across the 58.